All right, there you go. You should be co-host now.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Windows 10 Basics. We have a couple of people to recognize here, so that's good to see. I'm going to stop sharing my title slide here so I can see. Hi, Carol. Good to see you again. Mike, Cynthia, Emily, Gladys, Gary, Nettie, some people I've seen before in classes. Great to see you.
Hi,
We'll
Bob.
give you people just a minute to be joining. I do have a teaching assistant, Harry, from our teaching assistant team with us, so that if any of you have any technical issues with getting in Zoom or getting the meeting or anything like that, he'll be able to help you with any assistance. And you can always send an email to help@getsetup.io. So it's a little bit to after, so I'm going to go ahead and start going through a little introductory slides here. And we'll talk about Windows 10 basics today. Okay, I'm Bob Cohen. I'm based in Seal Beach. I've worked in the tech industry pretty much my whole career. In about 2007, I started doing training. And I'm hoping to help you learn a little bit more about technology and make it simpler to understand and a little less intimidating today. Windows 10 is a big topic, but we're going to cover the basics. As you know, we're a learning organization. We teach classes. All of our classes are free. You can get a recording by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. If you're live streaming and watching us on YouTube or Facebook or some other channel, we encourage you to come to the getsetup.io website and register and sign up for classes. We'll give you over 300 classes that you can take from Get Set Up and enjoy. And we're not paid to promote any specific products. We're just going to be mentioning some things because that's what people are interested in learning about. So today we're going to be talking about Windows 10 basics. And I'm assuming everybody has a Windows 10 computer, but sometimes that's not always a good assumption. Does anybody not have Windows 10? Go ahead and wave or raise your hand, or you can use the little reaction button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Windows 10 is Microsoft's operating system. So we're going to learn about what it is. We're going to learn our way around the desktop, the start menu, and the taskbar. And I'll show you how to check your computer security to make sure your security is up to date, how to start and close applications using right-click, search, and other tips, and maybe a few other things if we have time to get them in, okay? So Harry, I'm going to have you watch the waiting room for me and admit anybody that comes in that's on time, okay? So go ahead and take care of that if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay. So are there any questions people have about Windows 10 that they're hoping to get answered? Sometimes it's hard with technology to know, well, is this a Windows 10 question? Is this a question about something else? But if you have a question about Windows 10 that you're hoping to learn today, I'm curious if anybody has anything they're curious about. Anybody? I tell people I feel like a tour guide. When you go on a tour and you visit a new city and you go and you take the tour and it says, oh, we're going to go see this, and this. And you're new to the city. You just don't know what your way around and you're trusting the guide to kind of take you to the highlights, right? And I feel a little bit like that with these classes sometimes. I'm going to give you the highlights of what I think are helpful things to know about all this technology. And you're welcome to, sit and enjoy the ride, or you're welcome to ask questions as we go along with things.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
The one thing I was hoping to learn a little more about, and I don't know why I can't remember them, but I know there's a lot of keyboard shortcuts that you can use to like copy and search and paste and that kind of stuff. Are you going to talk about that?
I'll show you where to find them since you asked, okay? And they're generally within each application, but we'll see if we can find a web page that I can help you go to for Microsoft.com because they do have a lot of help. And you're going to get an email after class as well. Keyboard shortcuts are generally more in the application that you use. So when you're using something like Microsoft Word,
okay,
web browser, that's where you typically will find the keyboard shortcuts when you're doing that stuff. But that's a good question. Nobody's asked that before. So that's a good question to keep in mind for me.
I don't have a question, but I just want to let you know, I'm just trying to learn because I haven't been working anymore. So I'm not familiar with Windows 10.
Sure. And of course, when you bought your new computer, you did not get an instruction book, did you? You did not get an owner's manual, right? And so you're kind of saying, okay, I got this computer in front of me. What do I do with it? And this will hopefully help you a little bit with that, Gladys.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Great.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. So the first thing that helps to understand is what is an operating system? That's what Windows 10 is. There are some other operating systems with this Windows 10. Apple makes one for Macs called Mac OS. They make ones for iPhones and iPads called iOS. And Google makes something called Chrome and Android. Okay, so they're operating systems. So what's the point of an operating system in the first place? Well, first of all, it's a piece of software. And the best way to think of software is like a recipe for cooking a meal. If you wanted to make, a burrito or a sandwich, you would have to know what ingredients to use and what recipe. The hardware on your computer is the ingredients, right? The recipe tells you how to put them all together to make a dish out of it, to make a cake or make something else. And so software gives hardware instructions on what to do. That's what software does. So if you want to impress your friends and family members, you can always tell them, hey, software is like a recipe. It tells the hardware what to do, and they'll be really impressed, trust me. Okay. So the next thing about an operating system is it's a lot like a layer cake, and it's like the middle layer of a 3-layer cake. The bottom layer is the hardware. The top layer are the applications you use, things like Word, like Mike was asking, or things like your web browser or Chrome or your email application. The middle layer is the operating system. It sits between the applications and the hardware, and it saves the applications from having to communicate directly with the hardware. They don't have to do that. The applications talk to the operating system, and the operating system talks to the hardware. So one of the things an operating system does is it makes this lump of metal and plastic, whether it's a phone or whether it's a computer, it makes it into a computer. And that's what an operating system does. It really is the instructions that make it on. Now, some operating systems include applications, and most of them include some basics like a web browser or an email application or a calendar or something else. But your operating system communicates to all the hardware. It knows how to talk to your disk drive. It knows how to talk to your printer. It knows how to talk to the internet, and it handles all of that. So it has to be running in memory whenever you turn your computer on. And that's what your computer does. When you power your computer on, it goes out to the disk drive and grabs the operating system and puts it into memory and says, hey, I'm a computer now, you can use me. But we do work typically in applications. So now you know a little bit more about operating systems than you may have wanted to bargain for today, but hopefully that's helpful. Now your operating system gives you the tools to use your computer. That's one reason why it's really important to understand what it does. It sets up your desktop. So whatever you're looking at on your screen is managed by the operating system. It handles things like a taskbar or a start menu or tiles or ways for you to open up and get to applications and ways to search for things. So operating systems help make it. It's like if you just set up a piece of furniture and you had a desk, but you didn't have anything on it, but it was ready for you to start using, that would be kind of like an operating system. And so you can add, things to it. You can put a plant on it. You can put a light on it. You can do other things, but the desk is ready for you to sit down and start using it right away. There's a couple of things that mice do on computers, and oftentimes you may not realize it, but when you right-click in the upper right of a mouse, there is something that is considered a right click. So normally when we select something, we click in the upper left, but when you click on the upper right, it usually displays a menu of options that you can select. And those options are kind of like shortcuts that are available to you. So Mike, you asked about shortcuts. That's another way to get to some shortcuts is by right-clicking on a mouse. And it's amazing how many things you can find in shortcuts, even in the operating system. The operating system uses them for adjusting settings on your computer. And Windows is where the Windows operating system got its name. when you open up an application, it opens up a window on your desktop. If you open another application, it opens another window. If you open another application, it opens another window. And you can click in any of these windows on your desktop to choose which application you're using. That's where the term Windows got its name. Is that when you open up an application, it actually appears in what they call a window on your desktop. And you can adjust windows. You can, click on the X to close an application, or click on the minus sign to minimize it, or click in this other shape here that lets you adjust the size of the window if you ever want to. We'll take a look at that so that you can do things where if you want to have more than one window, say you're looking at a web page and you want to write an email to somebody, you can have a web page window open on the left and an email window open on the right. So you don't have to constantly switch back and forth. You can look at things both at the same time. Some basic operations, powering down, search, maybe Cortana, a security update check, and a few other things. Okay, so let me pause for a second because I've explained a few things. Now, does anybody have any other questions that they want to ask about Windows before I take you on the guided tour? Emily, you have your hand up.
Yes, Bob. I noticed all the instructor, they can move the window around. So that is the one you just show with the two boxes. So you can move the window in the same on your desktop, right?
Yes, you can move. If you're looking at the entire desktop of someone, and I'll show you my Windows desktop, you can have multiple windows open and you can move those windows around. Yes.
Yeah, I feel so amazed you can move the window around. I want to learn how to do it. Now you're mentioning that. Thank you.
I have to show you. I don't know if I can click. I can't click on my mouse and show you at the same time, but I'm going to left click and you'll see when I open up multiple windows. Okay. And then maybe we'll find some shortcuts and some other things too that we can look at along the way. Anybody else have any questions before we go on our tour? We start the bus up and we go along the main tour route here. Okay, so let me share my Windows desktop screen. Let me get it started here. Hold on one second and I will start things up again. It paused a little bit for me. Let's go to pair up my desktop. Okay, so you should be seeing my desktop. It's got a road that winds up and down the hill. It's got some things at the top, not too much, some things at the bottom. This thing at the bottom here, this whole row along the bottom, from here to here is called the taskbar. These things are just icons or shortcuts on my desktop, okay? But I don't have any windows open right now. And so the taskbar is where you can start things. So, and the start button is considered the Microsoft button in the lower left-hand corner here. So if I click on the start button, and a menu will pop up. Let me get it working. There we go. Okay, a menu pops up and it shows the start menu. Okay, it's got 3 columns. Column number 1 is this one, and they're not in any order. Column number 2 is this one, and this is column number 3. Okay, column number 1 has some quick shortcuts to power and settings and photos and documents. And column number 2 is an alphabetical list of all the applications I have installed on my computer. And column number 3 are some shortcut tiles that give me easy access to applications I might want to get to quickly without the need to scroll through. Now, Microsoft gives people about 4 different ways to do exactly the same thing. Okay, so if I wanted to open up an application, for example, I can put the application in my taskbar and I can click, I do classes on PowerPoint and Word. So if I want to open up a Word, the Word application, I can just click on it and it'll open up Word for me. If I want to open up the calculator, it's not a shortcut here. So I have to go to my Start menu, and I have it in two places. It's in the alphabetical list, but it's also a tile here. So if I click on it in the alphabetical list, and this list goes on, it's in alphabetical order. It shows you all the applications. So if I click on Calculator, it opens up another window. And you can see it put it on top of my Word window. So if I use these controls that are up here in the upper right, where it says minimize and maximize, I can choose, if I want to minimize this window, I can minimize it, and it's disappeared. Well, it hasn't really disappeared. It's actually in the row here, so I can see it here, and it's actually open. And if I scroll over the open application, because it has an underline on it, I can see a little tiny preview of what's in there. Or I can go to the calculator, and I can click on the calculator window. Now, if I want to minimize the calculator window, I can do that as well. And so Windows is giving me tools here now that I can use to expand and see different things that I have open. If I don't have enough room, I can go to other things. So if I want to open up Calculator, and I want to open up Word, and I want to just make Word's window a little smaller, okay, I just click on this little button here. When you click it to maximize it, it makes it the full screen. When you click it to make it a different size, it sizes it down. You can grab these corners of your window and make it larger or smaller. So if I want to have the calculator open at the same time I'm doing a document in Word, I can make the Word window a little bit, I can size it like this, and I can move the calculator over here, and I can adjust the size of these windows so I can work side by side. Now, in order to move windows around, you can grab the corners, and you'll see your mouse change from a mouse to an arrow with two arrows on it. That gives you the ability to adjust size. Or if you want to move the window around, if you grab it at the top where it has the name of the application and just to the left of this minus sign, you can left click on it and you can move it around anywhere on your screen. So this understanding how to move these windows around can give you the ability to have two windows open side by side. So if you're writing an email or looking at the web, or you're trying to calculate, the price of something, it's really convenient to have multiple windows open. And they can cover each other up if that's okay to do. But you can then just click on whatever window you want to work with, and it brings it to the front automatically. So if I click on the calculator window, it comes to the front. If I click on the Word window, that comes to the front. Okay, so that's how you can manipulate windows a little bit on your computer. Any questions about that?
Yeah, I notice on your desktop, you don't have a bunch of stuff pinned there. I mean, I see some people that their whole desktop's just filled with icons because everything they open up, they put on their desktop, in the form of like where you have your browser, you have your Chrome browser there, I see, and then you have a folder with output 105 pixel wide or something. You have your Mac file.
These icons here, but yeah, I tend to keep my desktop pretty clean. It's just a personal habit. Some people don't mind having lots of icons on their desktop. I like having very few, because I know I like to just keep it clean, and that's just the way I like to do it myself.
Yeah, me too.
And Laverne, you had a question.
Yes, I kind of got lost. I know how to, like, if I open up Word, I know how to open it up and put it down on my taskbar. And then if I open up Calculator, and then I can minimize it also and put it down on my taskbar. But where I got mixed up was how do I get them both up and put them side by side?
Oh, okay. Well, if I open up calculator, and because I made my screen a little bit bigger, I made my icons bigger so you can see things. I have this little arrow here that lets me see things. If I open up Word, okay, they're not side by side, that they're over, that one's covering the
Overlapping.
right? So I just have to grab Word here,
Drag.
move it around, and I can grab a corner. When I move my mouse over the corner of the window, it gives me the ability to click and adjust the size of that window. That's how I do it. I click and adjust the size of it. So if I grab it, then I go to a corner, I can adjust the size of it. I can make it smaller, I can make it bigger, I can, make it even larger so it covers up Word the other one if I want to. So that's how you adjust the size of a window, is by moving your mouse to the corner, and your cursor will change, to a cross arrow when you click on it. Okay, and that gives you the ability to adjust the size of a
Okay.
window. Okay.
I got that part, but I
You're
think
holding
where,
down the button.
yeah, I know that part. I think what I didn't realize that I could open up two applications at the same time, because I always drop one and then pull the other one up. I never pull them both up at the same time.
Yeah, you can. It
Oh,
depends
see,
on
I didn't know that.
Depends on how fast your computer is. The faster the computer you have, the more windows you can have open at the same time. And so if you noticed your computer slowing down, closing a window will typically help speed it up a little bit. But technically you can have as many windows open at the same time as you want.
Well, can I say that just a little short experience I had today? I went with a friend of mine. We went to Office Depot. She's looking for a laptop. Well, I don't know a lot, but I know a little bit more than she does. And so the nice fellow that was helping us, she was asking about gigabytes, and he had two. He had an 8 gigabyte and a 265 gigabyte or something like that. And he was explaining something about the 8 gigabyte was how many windows that you could open up at the same time. Is this the same thing?
It doesn't translate exactly, 8 to 8. But what your computer needs is it needs to have memory in order to hold all the windows in it. So it's kind of like if you wanted to take almonds. I love almonds, and so if you wanted to take a cup of almonds and you poured a bowl of almonds into the palm of my hand, I could only hold so many. But if I had bigger hands or a bigger container, I could hold more at the same time. So that RAM memory that he's talking about, that's what 8 gigabytes is of
Yeah.
RAM. That gives your computer the ability to hold more in memory when it's working. That's what it does.
Because he did use the word RAM. He did.
Yep,
Yeah.
he was right.
Access memory, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Let me close a few windows here and show you some things about the start menu that are important to know. The start menu is the little start Windows icon in the lower left-hand corner. And when you click on that, it opens up the start menu. Yours may be a little bit different than mine, depending on the applications you have. The first button here is for power. And when you click on power, that's how you can put your computer to sleep or shut it down or restart it. I'm not going to do it now because I'm doing a live class, but normally your computer will take about anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and it'll go to sleep on its own. It's okay for it to be asleep. When your smartphone has a blank screen on it, it's asleep. It's not powered off, it's asleep. It's okay to leave your computer asleep. If you want to manually put it to sleep, you can just click the start button, go over the power button, click on that, and put it to sleep. You can shut it down completely if you need to. You don't have to do it that often, But if you ever want to for travel or you don't need to use the power, go ahead and shut it down. But when your computer is asleep, Microsoft's operating system goes out and reaches out to Microsoft and sees if there's updates. And we're going to take a look at that in a minute.
Bob,
Yeah.
how do you get the sleep? Mine normally just have the restart and shut down.
Well, it might be, depending on, generally sleep is there. I can't say what might be different about your version of Windows. If you have a laptop or a desktop, it should give
I
you
have
the
a desktop.
but I can't say exactly why. This is a standard version of Windows from Microsoft, so I'm not sure why you're not seeing the sleep option, to be honest. So if we can after class, we'll see if we can figure out why.
Okay, okay. Thank
It
you.
might be something you might have to find out specifically from your manufacturer or whoever supplied the computer, because this is the standard version of Windows.
Because you just go to power, right? And it should give it to me.
Right. So you can shut down or you can restart, but you don't have to. Now it explains that if you hover over some of these options, it gives you a little tooltip that shows, it kind of explains what it does. And so it helps you understand what it is before you actually click on a button.
Thank you.
All right. Now, if you go to the second column, we were working with calculator here. If you right click on an application, you have the ability to do a number of things with it. You could uninstall it, but this calculator actually has a scientific mode and a graphing mode and a date calculator. And I have it pinned to the start menu right here. This is the tile where it's pinned to start. I can even right click on the tile and unpin it from start. This little start menu of tiles is customizable, and you can actually click and drag and move applications around if you want to, by just clicking and dragging on them and position them wherever you might want them so that it's easier for you to find things when you want to get to them. If I go back to the calculator app and I right click on it and I say pin to start, it'll pop up at the bottom here, and I want to move it up higher because I use it often. And so I also have the ability to right click on it and go to more, and I can pin it to the taskbar if I want to. That will put it in this row of icons here that gives me the ability to see it now. And the icons are just taking up a little bit of space now. Microsoft put this little weather function in the latest version of Windows so that you see your weather in your taskbar. And if there's something in the taskbar that you don't like, you do have the ability to right click on it, and I can change things about the taskbar if I want to. So I can move things around or change them what they do. There's some information. If I just click on this weather, it brings up weather and interests and stories and other things here. So news from Microsoft. So they're promoting that a little bit. You might find it ends up in your taskbar without you knowing how it ended up there. There are some things that help you with the date and the time, the volume, whether you're on the internet, how much your battery is charged, whether you're connected up to your OneDrive account. So they have these little icons here as well. And they do have an icon for security. Sometimes it's hidden. So if you click on the up arrow, you might see a security icon, and it will tell you pretty quickly there's no actions needed. Well, what does that mean? Well, we want to look at something called Windows Update. And I'm going to close this here for a second. If I go to the search box, you can search for things on your computer. You can search for the web. So if I wanted to say, find pizza near me, I can do that, and it'll bring up search results for me right away. Okay, and so I can see, what's available near me. But if I wanted to go to say something like Windows settings or Windows update, I'm sorry, Windows update, I don't have to know where to find it. I can just type it in and it brings up the link for checking for updates. It automatically will take me to settings, and Windows updates are free from Microsoft. They are important because they include security fixes for malicious software, and they include all the additional bug fixes that Microsoft does. Tech Today at 227, it usually checks automatically through the day, but it won't install all the updates until you're less active on your computer. You can learn more about updates by clicking on the link to the right of it here, and you can get to this in a variety of ways. You can get to it by typing in Windows Update, or I could have gone to, if I close this, I could have gone to Windows, my Windows button, my Start, my Settings menu, and it would have brought up all the settings, but here's Windows Update right up on top as well. And I do a class on Windows settings, which will help you understand how to customize some things on your PC. One of the things that Windows settings has is Windows security. There's that shield. It opens up exactly the same thing as if I clicked on the security shield here, and it tells me that I don't need to take any action. It says no actions needed, which is always a good thing to make sure of. No actions needed, no actions needed, no actions needed, no actions needed, no actions needed. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but when you buy Windows, you get a built-in security software included from Microsoft, and it's free and it's part of Windows. Well, technically you paid for Windows when you bought your computer, but a Windows antivirus and anti-malware security software is included with every version of Windows that you purchase. So you don't need to buy anything else. It's standard and it's included with everything whenever you buy Windows, and it comes included with it. And it protects you from malicious software, and it updates whenever you do your Windows update, and updates automatically. So it's included. Now, this is a window as well, so I can minimize or close this window if I want to. A lot of people don't realize that Windows includes that, and so it's really convenient for people. So that's how you would do a security check. Yeah, Carol.
I just wondered, so I remember you saying that now, so if you got all of a sudden you find yourself getting McAfee, how could you stop that?
Well, usually, I mean, some security software uninstalls differently, but if you go to your Start menu,
Yeah.
and you searched for something here, okay, I don't use, I'm going to uninstall. If I right click on Amazon Prime Video, if you find McAfee there, you right click on it, you should see an uninstall button. Now, security software sometimes has special uninstall features, and so it may or may not always work for you by doing it this way. So you might have to go to McAfee's website to research how to uninstall it. But one of the great things about Windows 10 is that if you uninstall any other security software you put on there, Windows 10 automatically takes over. You don't have to do anything special. It automatically takes over.
Okay. So I should find McAfee in that list.
Right. Now, if you have a subscription and you're paying for it, you might have to go to their website. But if you can, it gives you an uninstall button. I'm going to uninstall, and it says uninstall. Bang! It's going to uninstall it. Now it disappeared from my A's. It's no longer in there.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, now, how did I get Amazon Prime in the first place? Well, there's a store that Microsoft has. I don't know how many of you have ever downloaded apps from your Apple phone app store or your Android app store, but Microsoft has an app store as well. If you click on the start button and we scroll up to Microsoft, we will see the Microsoft Store. And this is where you can install applications, not only that are available that work on Windows 10. They give you a home screen. They let you look at gaming. A lot of people that use their Windows computers for gaming. They show you entertainment. And so they show you productivity like Microsoft 365 or PDF users. And some of these are free and some are paid. And you can search if you ever want to search for an application too. So if I wanted to get, say, my Amazon Prime Video application, and here it is, it's free. You just have to have a subscription to Microsoft, to Prime Video. But I can click on it from the App Store, and it says I own this app, even though it didn't cost me money. I downloaded it once, but if I want to install it, I just click on install, and it will start the download automatically, and it'll install it in my application list. It's a nice size application, doesn't take a long time to download, but we'll get it downloaded, and then I'll show you, it'll show up again in my start menu when you do it that way. So that's how you find applications that are on your computer, is by going to the start menu. So it's done. Okay, so I'm going to close this window. I'm going to just click outside of it. I'm going to close the Microsoft Store. So now if I go to my start menu, and there's Amazon Prime Video for Windows right there in that list again. So that's how you can, and all applications that you install will show up in this list. Okay.
And you said
Now,
Prime Time is free?
you do have to have a subscription to Amazon Prime to use it, but the application does not cost anything. So you have an Amazon Prime membership. You can watch your videos on your computer if you want to. And they have Netflix and Hulu and all, as long as you have a subscription with those services, you can watch them on your computer.
I have all of them except Prime.
Okay. There's a lot of them. We used to complain about all the different cable bundles we had to subscribe to. Now we've got so many streaming bundles. It's kind of like, how many do you need, right?
Yeah.
Well, we needed a lot during COVID, right? When we were all locked up, but now it's a little bit different.
Well, I was just going to comment on the Microsoft Store there. Like if you want the productivity stuff, like when Word and that, it's rental instead of buying, where some of that stuff, like you own sometimes you own the application, you buy it one time, sometimes you have to rent it yearly or pay a subscription fee for it.
Okay.
It's a subscription, yeah. Yeah, we do a class. I actually do it on Microsoft 365. There are web-based versions of Word and PowerPoint, but Microsoft does offer it for sale in an older version called Office 2019. But they want you to subscribe to software now more and more. Almost everything is a subscription, unfortunately. Now, it's both got its pros and cons. Okay. Did you know you can talk to your computer? Okay, if you can talk to your computer, there is you may or may not have a circle here. I'm going to draw a little arrow here so you can see it, but there's a circle that I have in my taskbar right here. Okay, that circle is Cortana. It's a free application. So if you don't have it on your computer, you can go to the Microsoft Store and go to Cortana. But Cortana gives you the ability to do things. Now, I ride bicycles and I had to get a new helmet. And the way you measure yourself for a hat or a helmet is the way I did it at least, is I took a string and I put it around my head, and then I pinched it, and then I put it down on a tabletop, and I marked off how long it was. And then I took a tape measure out and I measured how many inches it is. It was 22 inches. Well, the helmet companies that sell bicycle helmets sell them all in sizes in centimeters. So I had to convert inches to centimeters, right? So I decided, well, I could look it up on the web, I could find a way to calculate, or I could talk to my computer. So if I click on Cortana, I can ask it, hey, Cortana, how many centimeters is 22 inches?
22 inches is 55.88 centimeters.
So it calculated it for me. And so you can do a lot of things. You can ask Cortana, Cortana, I'd like to get some tacos nearby.
I found 5 Mexican restaurants matching Mexican restaurants near you. There's Chronic Tacos at 6602 East Pacific Coast Highway in Long Beach. It's 1.3 miles away.
So Cortana is kind of like Apple Siri and Amazon's, voice assistant and Google's, but it's built into Windows. And so it will use the web to search for things, but it'll do things also. I think I can get it to, it can do calculations. It'll open up applications. It'll search for files on your computer. So it'll do all those things as well. It's kind of a nice little tool, and it shows up in my taskbar. Now, if you ever want to customize how your taskbar looks, you can right click on it and you can go to taskbar settings. Now, here's where it says show Cortana button. I can change that. If I wanted to get that news and interests off, I think that's what the weather is, but I'm not sure. Or I can change settings for the taskbar if I want to. So if I click on that, it opens up taskbar settings, and I have the ability to make changes to how it looks if I want to. And so those are some tools that are available. The other thing you can do with right clicking is you can right click on your desktop. And if you right click on your desktop, it gives you the ability to personalize it or change display settings. But personalize gives you the ability to change the picture on your desktop very easily by just right clicking on it. So if you have another picture that you want to use, or you can browse for a picture on your computer and select a picture. This is one I have of, I think it's kittens. So it'll change my desktop picture to kittens, and now my desktop looks like this. And that's just by right clicking on your desktop and using the personalize button, if you ever want to do that. It gives you the ability to do that. I'm going to close this window. Now, the File Explorer, we do a class on organizing files on your PC, and files are very involved. But if you're ever looking for a particular file on your computer, this little icon here that looks like a folder right here. Well, let me draw a better picture of that. Let's see if I can get that. This little one right here looks like a folder. That opens up your file system. That's called File Explorer, and it will open up all your files and show you how to navigate through them. So if you're ever looking for a file, and what Microsoft does now is whenever you're using something, they start to keep things in what they call quick access when you open this up. And so you can find things that you've been working with recently. So I've been working with different, if there was a picture I took of something that was my old college dormitory residence hall sign. And so it gives you the ability to find things quickly if you're ever looking to do that. and it gives you the ability to find things a lot more flexibly. You can see where things are downloaded here. So if you've downloaded things, you can look at that, or look at your pictures or other folders. So that's how you get to File Explorer. And then usually Microsoft supplies Microsoft Edge with your computer. That is their web browser. It's good, but if you're used to using Chrome, you can go to the website for Google and download Chrome, or others if you want to. But Microsoft includes the Bing browser as part of their operating system, and one of the applications they include with it. So they do include a few applications that you don't have to pay for. A browser, they include an email application. They include a couple of small note-taking applications as well. So there's other things that are part of the operating system that can make it usable right from the start. But a lot of applications like, watching TV, if you've got a laptop, think of it as a portable TV stream, because companies like Spectrum, which is my cable provider, they have apps that you can use or websites that you can use to actually watch TV on your computer as long as you're connected to the internet. They have those things available. So those are tools that are available for you as well. Okay, so
Bob?
yeah, Carol, that you?
Yes, that's me. Is it true that Windows 10 works more efficiently with Edge browser? Or there's no significance to that?
Well, here's the thing. Web browsers are pretty standardized technology. And I'll be honest, I learned, because I belong to some Microsoft partner programs.
Yes.
Microsoft actually licenses software from Google's Chrome that they built on Edge on top of. So when you get Edge, you're basically getting Chrome. It's just
Okay.
Microsoft's version of it. And it performs, they both perform about the same on your computer. You're not going to see any difference.
All right, thank you.
I use Firefox, and I'm going to say one thing about Edge. If you use that,
Firefox is
they fight with each other continually. Edge wants to make you sign back up.
Yep. Firefox is a really good open source tool as well from by Mozilla. Emily, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I have Outlook Hotmail, but sometimes the Bing, Bing, wants to take over as my browser, the main page. What is the advantage or disadvantage if I get into the Bing?
It's only a matter of, I think it's personally a matter of what you're most comfortable using and what you're familiar with. If you're already familiar with Firefox, like Mike uses, why switch? They'll all display web pages, they'll all do other things. If you're familiar with Chrome, use Chrome, but you may not know this, but for example, Safari is not available for use on Windows. So if you're used to using Safari on your phone, that's not going to work for you on Windows. But Microsoft, like Google, makes money by selling ads that display when you use Bing. And so they want you to use Bing because they can make more money by displaying ads. And so Google and Microsoft pretty about in terms of Bing versus Chrome, about the same type of advertising, other things, just a matter of which one you feel most comfortable using. And I just use it on everything you own.
Also, another question. When I make a PowerPoint, I want to share with my friends, and then from my Gmail, I send to my Hotmail. And this is more than 3 or 4 times. And I will not receive from the Gmail to my Hotmail. How come they reject that?
Well, I don't know why it's rejected, to be honest. It might be because if you're sending it as an attachment, it's too big a file. That's one reason, but there could be any number of reasons. It's kind of like when you say my stomach hurts and you see a doctor, there could be a lot of reasons for it, right? And so it's difficult.
But my friend received it. Is it because they have Gmail and I send it to my Hotmail, so I just cannot get it that way?
Yeah, it could be a variety of reasons, so, but there are ways to share things in PowerPoint, by using OneDrive as a cloud that gives
Yes,
you it.
I did.
The link is something that gets sent no matter what. That's a little bit off Windows 10. That's more of a mail, issue that you're dealing with there.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions about Windows 10 now that I've shown you some basics and how to get around it a little bit? Okay.
One question. There's different, well, I don't know, like Pro, Home, Enterprise, etc. Windows 10. I was always kind of confused as to, when it was back in the XP days, you kind of wanted to go with the Pro. Now I think actually you don't need Enterprise if you're just one home person, unless you're put it out over across the network or something. But I didn't know the advantage of the Pro is more for a business than it is for.
It really is, Mike. You're really right on about that. There, for those of you that don't understand and are not familiar with it, Windows is sold in different editions. It's kind of like when you go to buy a car, you can buy a car with the basic model, you can buy it with a mid-range set of options, or you can buy it with it loaded with everything on it. And Windows is sold that way too. The most common version that people own about Windows is Windows 10 Home. That's what I'm demonstrating here. That's the standard version. It has a lot of features in it. If on a budget computer, let's say something below, say $400 or $500, you might end up with what's called Windows 10 S, which is a Windows 10 security version. Everything's the same except you can't download applications over the internet on Windows 10 S, but everything else is exactly the same. And they usually give you a one-time upgrade for free in order to go to Home. The professional enterprise versions, they're really more for organizations that need additional features that let them manage desktop computers or laptops from a central information technology department. So Home is really giving you all the features you pretty much need with Windows. I haven't found anything lacking at all from Windows 10 Home at all. And that's standard. When you buy a computer with Windows on it, the computer company has licensed Windows from Microsoft and includes that license for you to use Windows on that computer for as long as you own it. And Windows 10 is about 5 years old. It's going to go on for another 10, 15 years. It's going to be around a long time. And it's really one of my favorite, Microsoft operating systems. I've worked with them since MS-DOS and gone through a lot of ups and downs. But Windows 10 is really very versatile and has a lot of good things that make it very usable for people more and more all the time. Okay, now if you want to learn a little bit more about Windows, I do encourage you to sign up for the Windows 10 settings class. Windows 10 has a lot of features in it that give you the ability to kind of customize your desktop and your computer and do it. It includes icons. You can use search, you can use Cortana, you can go to the Microsoft App Store and download applications, and all of the applications that come from the Microsoft Store are checked for Microsoft for safety and security. And so it's one of the most reliable ways to get an application. I do classes on Windows 10, Zoom virtual backgrounds. There's some great classes we have on OneDrive. I encourage you, if you look into that. Another class, if you're interested in learning more about what Microsoft 365 gives you, we do a class on Microsoft 365. And you're going to get some notes after class with some links to Microsoft support websites and some recommendations for some other classes and an opportunity to give us feedback on the class and me as an instructor. When you sign up for classes, you probably know you can invite a friend and share the invitation with a friend as well. So we've got opportunities. I mean, anybody who is a member of the Get Set Up community can post an interest group. We offer help and support for that. You just have to email help@getsetup.io. So we have people that have taken classes that have become interest group leaders. We have ideas for new classes that come up all the time. You can request a session recording if you want to. And if you need any help with booking another class or anything like that, we've got Harry and myself. We can help you with that. But hopefully feel a little more comfortable with Windows 10. And now it's up to you to kind of figure out, okay, now that you have this powerful device in your hand called a computer, what do you really want to do with it, right? So exploring the Microsoft Store is one way to get ideas of things you can do with it as well. But Windows has so many different applications, it really makes it flexible. So anybody have any questions before we wrap up for the afternoon or evening, depending? Laverne, go ahead.
Bob, I have a question. Is there a class or do you teach a class in transferring like your pictures from your phone to your laptop and then back to a new phone? Because I have to get a new phone, but I have so much on there that I want to keep, like pictures of family and so forth. And I'm scared to get another phone. And I know if I go to the store and have them do it, they'll lose them because I've experienced that before. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out, how do I do that?
There's not a class on that yet. I think with it depends, because it's different for people that have Android and people that have Apple. Okay, and so the best way with Apple, because I use iPhone, is to save your pictures to iCloud and make sure your phone is backed up. And if with any device you use, you want to make sure it's backed up. Google has a Google Photos app, and Microsoft actually has a Photos app in OneDrive, but you might need to pay for additional storage no matter what you use for your photos. But once you get your photos up to a cloud drive, they're going to be available for you no matter what you use. And that's probably the best thing for it. So do you have Android or iPhone, Laverne?
Android.
Yeah. I would do some research on how to back up photos from Android, or actually look at the Google Photos app and see if that will upload all of your photos to your Google Drive. Okay.
Okay, because my phone, I've been had it and my battery won't last. I have to charge my phone, say 12, 15 times a day. And I'm scared. So I'm scared to let it go because I'm scared I'll lose my pictures.
Right. Yeah. And there actually is a little help link that Microsoft.com has a help as a way for you to actually import photos from your phone into your computer. But I don't know if you can get them back on your phone after doing that.
Oh.
You should be able to, but I don't know for sure how to do that. But yeah, getting your phone, getting your photos, Google Photos would probably be the best thing for you to look into to do it for Android.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye, everybody. Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.